To introduce at my left side there is both teams A and B. Let's start the debate.
Wait. So today we are going to have the debate between Team A and Team B. Team A, who is representing class 9, they are in favor of the motion. Team B, who is representing class 8, is against the motion. The topic for today's debate is tourism is affecting environment. So Team A is going to say that yes, it is affecting the environment, and we have Gauri and Vanshika in Team A, and in Team B we have Shreya and Shishta, who are going to say that tourism is not affecting the environment. So without wasting any time, let's start. But before that, let me just brief you about the rules. There will be 3 rounds. First round will have a thought sharing round, in which each team will be allowed 4 minutes, in which each team will share their own thought process about how, what they think, and how they will share their viewpoints, and they just have to judge on the basis of how well they have defended their point. The second round will be of 3 minutes, that will 3 to 4 minutes. It will be a rebuttal round in which each team will be allowed to counter each other's viewpoint. Last round, which will be of 1 minute, will be a question and answer round in which audience will be invited to ask 3 questions from each team. 3 questions, not more than that. In all, in total, there should not be more than 6 questions. Fine. Judges, shall we start? Judges, shall we start?
Yes, sir. Please.
So I request Team A to start the debate.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Vanshika Chaudhary and she is my teammate Gauri Chaudhary, and we are from Team A and we are in the favor of motion. So let's see what is environment. So environment is a surrounding which consists of land, air and water in which plants and animals live together. So I would like to discuss, so let's see the impact of tourism on environment. Tourism leads to excess use of water. As we know, only 3% of the water is left for human consumption. Tourists use water for their when they live in hotel, swimming pools, and for their other entertainment purposes, which leads to shortage of water and degradation in water supplies. And it also leads to greater volume of wastewater.
Tourism also encourages the displacement of locals. For example, we have a recent incident in our own city. Few days back, on the auspicious occasion of Janmashtami, the temples are full of crowd. The most of the peoples are tourists, which dispose the place of locals, which displays the values of locals and change the lifestyles of locals. I would like to pass.
The second effect of tourism on environment is tourism effect on environment. The tourists cause so much pollution in environment by which they use vehicles for their purpose. As a study published in Nature Climate Change in 2018, it is published that the vehicles emission cause 3% of the carbon dioxide every year, which is increasing 4% of rate every year.
And the excess tourism can lead to death also. Again, we have the example of Janmashtami, when due to the loud crowd in the area, the temple Banke Bihari, 2 people are crushed by the feet and they lost their lives. So the worth of anyone's life is not more than anything else. Well, the tourism, this point refers that tourism, excess tourism can also lead to death also.
So it does not affect our environment also. It also causes air pollution, which is harmful for humans also. Like we can take an example of cancer. It is a major concern for us because tourism causes many.
It also increases the way of corruption.
The time is over. Please give the mic to the other team.
Thank you for sharing your viewpoints, Team A. Now I request Team B to share their viewpoints. Thank you.
A very good morning, respectful principal sir, teachers and all my dear friends. I am Shista Bachori with my teammate Shreya Rathi, and we are here to represent Team B and we are against the motion. Now I would like to pass the mic to my teammate to tell you some advantages of tourism.
A very good morning to all. My name is Shreya Rathi and now I will tell you some more advantages of tourism. Tourism puts our nation on global map. Tourism improves the infrastructure and architecture of a nation. Tourism employs thousands of people and provides job to them. Tourism also plants a sense of respect between two different people belonging to two different religions, cultures and brought up in two different upbringings. Tourism also provides, tourism also helps in embracing our culture and art of our nation. Through tourism, people and the government have started to conserve our natural resources, and most of the natural resources as India is famous for its historical moment and natural resources, and most of the tourists are attracted to its scenic beauty. And through tourism, our culture and art is also embraced. Now I would like to pass the mic to my teammate Shrishta Pachari to tell you some more advantages of tourism.
Thank you. Now I will tell you some more advantages of tourism. Tourism is the part of our culture, and that is the reason that millions of people across the world used to visit different nations, territories, islands just because of its scenic beauty. But is it only about the culture? No, not at all. It is also about the social and economic development. There are many countries across the world which are dependent upon tourism for their GDP growth. For example, Maldives. Maldives' 38.96% of GDP growth is completely dependent upon tourism. Whereas if I talk about the British Virgin Islands, so its 32.92% of GDP growth also relies upon tourism. And if I take the example of our nation, India, so its 30% of GDP growth also relies upon tourism. But if I just kept aside this GDP growth and if I talk about the employment, so according to OECD, Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, there are worldwide 44 countries which are dependent upon tourism for their employment, in which there are more than 15% of the, in which there are many countries who are dependent upon tourism for more than 15% of their employment. With this, I just want to conclude that there are many countries which are dependent upon tourism. That's why it is a necessary factor for our social and economic status, and that is the reason that we should promote more and more tourism. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Please give the mic to the another team, I request.
Thank you so much for the very interesting and very thoughtful first round of our debate session. Can we have a big round of applause? We come towards the end of the first round, which was the thought sharing round. Next round is the rebuttal round. Rebuttal round will be of 3 minutes only, plus 1 minute if required, if judges give us the permission for that. So 3 plus 1 minute will be there. And in that you are required to counter the viewpoints. I hope you must have noted some viewpoints of your opponents. So now it's time for you to counter the viewpoints of your opponents. So let's start with Team A first.
As you said that it increases the GDP of a nation, so it also increases the way of corruption in a country, because if tourism comes, the way of corruption say via sources, different sources like robbery, black marketing and wrong interpretations of word also. So don't you think that excessive tourism is harmful for us?
As you have said that the way of corruption is somewhere connected to the GDP growth, which is because of the tourism. But it is not only because of the tourism, it's also because of so many factors. We don't only get the money from the tourism, we also get from many more sources. You cannot say it's just because of tourism.
And I would like to conclude one more thing, that the conditions which were in the past times have been improving way more in the present. As you can see, the cases of robbery, thieves and thievery and corruptions have been way lesser in comparison to the past time.
As you said that, tourism supports us financially, but I would like to say that tourism audit all the money which comes from tourism just goes to big businessmen, not locals.
You might be right on that, but I may say that tourism not only benefits the big companies, it also benefits the local merchant and craft makers of our nation. As you can see that most companies make crafts and also embrace our culture, but the traditional impact or the culture or the colorful culture of our nation can mostly be seen in local vendors and craft makers' items. So I may say it also helps in small craft makers and etc. Not only the big companies.
Don't you think that the excessive tourism, the tourism come, they consume a lot of land because they also need a place to survive, to have a residence. So they also consume the land, which encourage the displacement of locals, as I said earlier also.
Actually, it is a true that tourism is sometimes seasonal. You cannot say that it is for the whole year. If the tourists arrive in our country, they cannot occupy the place for the whole year. And even local merchants does not, even they used to stay in the hotels mostly. So local merchants does not stay in the hotels or the buildings. I don't think that this that occupies the local merchants' place.
Don't you think our tradition get interrupted or changed when outsider arrives?
It actually increases. When the tourists arrive, they get to know a lot about our art, culture, literature. It increases our culture, it kept alive our traditions. For example, Ramlila. It is still kept alive because of tourists. They arrive just to see different traditions, culture, art, literature of our country.
Now, may I ask you? Now, I would like to ask you a question. That as you said that pollution rate increases, how does it increase? Because as I know, and studies and facts shows that most of the pollution is done. 92% of the pollution is done by our own Indian citizens, vehicles owned by them, and only 8% of pollution is done by the tourists. So how can you prove that tourist does the pollution? Because I think that we are the people to be blamed for pollution in that case.
We have an example of a recent situation in the earlier years. So, for example, 2020, a pandemic year. So, when there is a pandemic, so everyone is in their home due to quarantine. So, it improves the condition of an environment. For example, the quality of river Sabarmati water, quality of river Sabarmati also increases. It also improves the environment with the natural surroundings.
Has said that it improves our environment, but the money which comes from the tourism is also used to improve the natural landscape. So we cannot say that it. If the tourists were at their home, the citizens were also at their home. There was like it is also used for the improvement of the environment. We cannot say it's just impact. It's just their advantages, disadvantages of the tourism.
So, as you said that quarantine helps it with, as everyone knows that quarantine was for everyone. It was a worldwide pandemic and everyone was staying at their homes, from including tourists to the Indian citizens. And as I told you with facts and figures, the most of the pollution is done by our own Indian citizens in India. So that's why I think that tourists should not be blamed for that, because we are the ones to be blamed in that topic, on that related topic, because the most of the pollution is done by us, not the tourists.
You have said that when there was the recent Baki Bihari case, the 2 pans were crushed. I want to ask you that when the 2 pans were crushed, the majority was of Indians, not of the tourists which arrived from different countries.
The tourism can arrive not only from different countries, it also can be arrived from the different cities, states. So we can't blame the locals for this reason now that most of us, we know that most of are Indians only. But we can also say that we can't blame tourists, we can't blame, but we can't say that locals are fully responsible for
Time is over. Let's.
So that was an interesting rebuttal. Both teams tried their very best to counter the viewpoints of each other. But now moving on with our today's schedule, I would like to invite questions from the audience one by one. I just request you to raise your hand if you have question. And the one who have question are requested to come here because the wire length of our mic is a bit short.
Say the question goes to A team or B team.
So I have a question to the A team. If there will be no tourism, so what will happen of the countries which are totally dependent on tourism? How will they survive? How will they have their economic growth?
Very rational question. Clapping for this question. Very good question.
We can't say that the whole economy of a country is dependent on the tourism.
Yes, please.
Next question.
Next question. I request the one who have question please from this side so that we can have it
The
without.
question
mistake.
should be balanced. I mean, if you don't, question always should be
Samad,
A. You should also ask the question to team B also. Then only it will create a balance.
Please stand in the queue.
So I have a question from team A that if there will be no tourism, so how the people learn to respect each other's cultures?
The culture should not be respected by seeing or always experiencing the things. The respect for the culture is from our heart, from the bottom of our heart. It's our basic ethics for the discipline, for the respect to each other cultures.
I have a question from Team A. How can you say that excess of tourism can cause to death?
Excess of tourism can cause to death. How can you say that?
Good question. Clapping for him.
As I said earlier, that excess of tourism can cause to death because I'm not saying that tourism is bad or something, but the excess of anything is bad. So, as I said, the example, the Banki Bihari temple, there is an excess crowd in that area in the temple, so the two people are crushed by feet. So, the birth of animal's life is very important. There is nothing important in life. The person also earn money to live their life for their survival. So, how can we risk our life for
Next question.
I have a question from Team B. Because of tourism, there are many places for tourists and it causes the deforestation.
Good question.
Because of tourism, there is a deforestation. But if we use the money that comes from the tourism for our protecting our natural landscape, and even we use the money to conserve our plants and environmental infrastructure.
One more question.
Judges, please interrupt when we are done with 3 questions from each team. The rule says 3 questions only per team.
No, still 2 questions are left for team B. Only team B is allowed to have questions. The rest team A, they have done their kitty.
Team A is done. Thank you. Team B, if anyone is having question from team B.
Okay, if they have done, but you can have a question. There is no point in it. You should not go first. You can say what you want to ask.
I have a question for Team B.
Say it is up to their will. They can answer it or they can answer. Your marks will not be deducted or it will be given. Okay? It will be neutral. If you feel like to give, you can give. And rest audience can also give.
Without tourism, how will people know about the art and culture of our country?
Almost same nature.
Almost same. Because actually asked.
Okay. Clapping for him at least. Yes, right.
I have a question from Team B that if tourists come in our India and some places, so so the price of goods for the local people will high.
So with that question,
Good question. Education is
that was a great question, but I would like to that question with to say that the price increases, no doubt, but there are local merchants and some markets are present which sell that same item for a lower cost and lower prices. For example, we can say Chandni Chowk. It sells the same thing, but at a cheaper price.
Any more questions from the crowd?
one more question is there. What do you mean?
Is there any more question from the crowd, or if anyone of one of the judge wants to ask any question?
Well,
If any judge wants to ask any question?
I can't throw a question to only one part, one team. I must have a question for two. So I will take my question as a reserved question, and things I will ask the audiences. Come on, audience, have one question to team B, so that we can have a level playing field.
I have a question on team B. You are saying that tourism is a good thing. So what will you say about the incident in the Bani Bihari temple?
You have said that because of tourism that Banki Bihari was incident. So I just want to say that there were many tourists over there, and even the citizens and even the people of the same city. It is not only blame the tourists which come from outside.
Okay, the debate is full of confidence. Please give the big round of applause for but not the least, today's debate had full of confidence and full of knowledge. That I request Principal Sir to come and hear his thoughts.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Let's give him a round of applause. I request Radhika to correct the mark sheets from other judges as well, so that we can calculate.
First of all, I congratulate all the mentors, those who have made you and brought you here for this discussion. And first I want the clapping for your mentors. Those who motivated you. And now I want a clapping for these mentors. Definitely, there is two things. One is argument, one is discussion. So always debate is a part of discussion. When argument means you always want to prove no, I am right. Whether you have a logic or you don't have a logic. So first, always you understand whenever we are discussing to a topic, whether it is argument or whether it is a discussion. So always debate is a part of discussion, number one. Number two, beautifully both the team have done their work, and definitely when we debate something, we always must put out with some rational answers, and definitely your language, your body language and the confidence level, all this is countable when the judges are observing you, and definitely the kind of coordination you are having with your team also is a countable factor. So all these four factors, one is content, what you are speaking, number two, how you are speaking, number three, in a constraint of time, whether we are concluding or not, and whether I am giving an opportunity to my fellow member also. That is also four part is basically there to judge you as a team, right? So you got the parameters. Now, many of you might have an idea which team is going to win. So I have a very warm wishes and blessings for both the team, and let it be what it is there. But definitely both the team have given their best, and I believe they will be putting and working more and more harder so that they can prove themselves to be best more and more. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So now the topic was very, very burning topic, because you see this whole domain of our It is a duty to save our Earth. That is why we have so many programs internationally, national level, to save Earth, to save trees, to save water. Definitely. But we all live in Earth. How to balance both the things so that we may have economy also and we may save our environment also. There are certain landlocked countries. I'll give you the example of Switzerland. This country doesn't have any big things to have, but they have a very good tourism. So their economy is run by the tourism. So we can have certain examples. When we quote something, we should give very punching examples. That is an international example. There are the state in India, very small state. Have you seen Goa? Anybody? Yes. So Goa is a very small state, but their GDP is very high. We have a very big states in our country, but the GDP is very low because we are not able to tap the energy. So it is all about neither winning or losing. It is all about the discussion. So based on these four matters, we judges have concluded certain points and pointers on that. So don't worry, the one who loses always have a rebound effect. They can come back with more preparation, and those who are winner, don't feel proud. You should always prove more and more better so that in next time you can prove and come out with your best. Okay? Good luck. Both of you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like Palki ma'am and Aditi ma'am to say some words for both of the teams. Please give them a big round of applause.
Okay, first of all, good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon. So it was a great debate between both the teams, and both the teams did their best. But out of both the teams, Team B was really nice. They had the facts, every fact which was required. They told everything. And one more thing was their fluency towards their topic, and the verbal skills were too good. So clapping for Team B as well as for Team C also. And I would really say, wait for the result and all of us.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like Subhash sir, please say some words. And Aditi ma'am also.
I have witnessed my first ever debate competition. I really like the work Team B has done with themselves and their content. But Team A, your briefing was okay, but you didn't present any fact or any. Proper incident which can represent your topic more wisely. And Team B, you performed very well. Team A, you also satisfied us in many ways, but Team B, congratulations to all, and let's see the results.
So I guess the judges have already given you the idea, but coming down to the toughest part, which is the winners allowance. Before that, all I can say is that there is no losing. Listen, Team A and Team B, there is no losing aspect of anything. Either you win or you learn. That's it. No losing. So each team now coming to the marks, out of a total of 120, judges have given Team A 82 marks. That's Team B has secured 98 marks. So that's the winners for the day. Let's have a big round of applause for them. Thank you, Kiran, for the attending. Thank you, Kiran, for taking out time, and thank you, audience, as well, for putting out some questions and allowing